It's Catherine Whitaker, and today is another Lent at Lunch series. Today is Katie Linendahl. She is Emmy-award winning. She is a consumer tech expert, and she is a firecracker. You're going to love her. So we're going to talk a little bit about Jesus and the intersection of Jesus and faith and what that looks like in a secular career, but also just how do you love Jesus and not be weird. So please join us. If you have questions, put those in the comment box and I'll get Katie on here. She is a busy lady, so we're going to make the most of our 20 minutes. And then, yes, it's going to be a great discussion. So hang tight while I get her and then we'll get going. This is always the tricky part, y'all. Hang with me. Hopefully that worked. It's always tricky. Okay, so yes, last week I visited with Lisa Jo Baker. Today is Katie Linendahl, and then we're going to be doing this throughout every Wednesday of Lent. So around the lunch hour, it depends on my guest, but I try to hit that 12:30 time spot. And we're just going to dive into what it means to love Jesus in a lot of different ways, whether it's in your career, whether it's as a parent, in so many places and spaces. So that's what we're doing. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions, put them in the comment box and we'll get those going. And hang on, y'all. All right. I think we're getting close. All right. So if you are watching this later or you want to tell a friend about it and maybe they're not on Instagram, I'm putting them over onto YouTube. And then I'm also sharing them on my Facebook page. So there's a lot of ways that you can watch these. You can also watch the ones from last Lent, which feels like a lifetime ago. But anyway, so you can do that. So Katie is actually going to be at South by Southwest. I don't know how many of y'all know that or even what that is. So South by Southwest is a big thing here in Austin that happens, well, the blip year, but it's a big tech everything that has to do with technology and movies and all sorts of stuff. And it feels like it lasts forever, but she's coming in and she's going to be speaking at that here in Austin. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on here in Austin and she can watch and see what she's doing. But she is a delight. So hang tight. And we'll get her on here. Instagram's being tricky today. My computer died on me and now Instagram's being weird. So welcome to life, y'all. Okay. Hold on. All right. So give me a second. Technical difficulties. I'm checking text messages and also doing that. So I don't know what questions y'all have for Katie. So if you, I don't know, maybe you work in a secular career and you are trying to figure out how do I integrate my faith into my work environment? Or maybe you don't have a job outside the home and you're just trying to figure out how do you share your faith so that people don't see you as weird, but see you as approachable. So those are some of the things that we're going to dive in today. So like I said, if you have any questions, you can put those in the comment box and we'll get to them. All right, let me see if I can get Katie on here. And hopefully it'll work. Let me check my messages so that I don't have to do it on there. I'll check on here. It gets a little easier. There she is. Hey, Katie.
I'm like tech expert having a tech fail.
No, because that's this happens every time we talk about Jesus is that he interrupts what's going on Instagram. I'm telling you, it happens every time.
But I'll tell you what, God is never early. He's never late. He's always on time. So maybe it's a few minutes late, but for some reason, it's still on time.
You're good. You're good. And you're getting ready to jump on a plane. So I want to make the most of the
am.
time that you have. All right. So for people who have no idea who Katie Linendahl is, who are you? Tell them all your awesome stuff.
Oh my goodness. Well, God has blessed me. I guess I'm all about, it's so funny. I'm working on a new song right now, which you'll come to find out. I work in the country music space as well, but I am all about faith, family, flag, fitness, and fast Wi-Fi. So every day is very different, but it is very exciting. I'm best known for my world in television. I've been in TV for about 20 years, dating myself. And I've truly been in the technology space since I was about 12, 13, well before technology was like a thing and it was cool. I now watch my niece and nephew lapping me on a regular basis. But I I started coding when I was about 12, and then I got involved in IT and networking and software and hardware, got my degree in information technology from the Rochester Institute of Technology, and then started my career at ESPN working on SportsCenter. From there, I knew I wanted to go on air, and I just have had this amazing, people always ask me about my journey, and I'm like, it's definitely not A to B or A to Z. It's all over the map. Like, I'm A to B to Z to Z. Like, my journey has been all over the place, but it is the best part about it. Like, what God has given me and all the opportunities to learn behind the scenes working at ESPN, but then to go host a show on A&E, and then now working for some of the top daytime shows, being the one that is known to bring on some of the coolest gadgets. That's kind of what I'm best known for. New technologies on air on some of the biggest TV shows, from Rachel Ray to the Today Show, CBS Sports Radio, my Friends of the DA show. It's such a cool, every day is very different. And I do a lot of speaking all over the world in the world of technology. And then also I do music. So it is
also,
fun,
also
exciting
that,
life.
Katie.
It's hard to explain. People are like, what do you do? I'm like, how much time do you have? Because I'm just a curious person, and I have no ego at all. I just love life. Like, I want to like do everything I can while I'm in this world.
You certainly don't waste any time. I think what I'm curious about, so okay, so if you were at ESPN, so I got some boys who love ESPN.
Yeah.
Like, how did you, Katie, I mean, we're fresh off the heels of International Women's Day yesterday. I mean, some people might look at that and say, like, how did a gal who loves technology and started coding before she was a teenager, how did you get from that space? Hold on, I think it. Now, Katie's.
I'm good. I'm here.
There she is. Oh,
Okay.
there she is. Okay, we're good. Okay. Okay, so how did you get from this ESPN world, which probably I'm guessing is pretty male dominated, but you love technology? How did you break into this career that feels like maybe there's not a big space for women?
Great question. Getting my job at ESPN was one of my favorite stories. And I actually had to take a sports test to get my job. And it was so funny because you work your whole high school and college years and looking back on that, and you like try for every extracurricular activity and resume bullet possible. And I had them all. I'm like checking boxes. I'm doing 20 things. I got 5 jobs. And then I went in, and to get my job at ESPN, I had to take a sports test that was really ridiculously hard. And I guess I passed. There's never been a time where I walked out, I was like, bombed that, but I guess I did pretty well. So I ended up getting the job, but then proving myself still to this day is just part of the challenge. And oftentimes in the years past, and let's keep it real, you walk into a room and they're like, what does she know? And I love that moment. It's like when you're confident within yourself and you have work to prove in a very short amount of time, it's like, let's go. But I also am somebody that has been adamant throughout my whole entire career of overachieving for all the right reasons. Like, I want to get in there and be the best at everything and work. Like, I might not be the best, but I'll outwork everybody if I can, and if I have the ability to. And that, I have to say, at ESPN, it's all about people too. It's like a game in life. Like, you got to find, and for all the genuine right reasons, make all the right connections with them. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, better than you, that can amplify you. And I'll say at ESPN, as one example, somebody that I'm forever indebted to, oh, love him, God rest his soul. Stuart Scott was my mentor there. And anybody that's a sports fan remembers how iconic and he is and always will be in the world of sports. I was like a little PA, I was in a government subsidized housing, barely making rent. He took me under his wing and was so generous with his time and talents that I will forever remember that. And it's something that, like, I'm adamant about passing along in my career to others too. Like, if you're good and you're doing well, you want others to do well. So passing that along is like a pleasure now when you've hit a certain point.
Well, I'm the beneficiary of your generosity, Katie. You are such a good cheerleader for other people that you're a good champion for people. I think
Oh,
sometimes people think that maybe if you're in a certain space that you are too good for all the other people, and you've never been that way. You're always so generous with your wisdom and also with your encouragement. It's really awesome. I love it. I love that about you. So when you're in the sphere of like technology and people are asking you and they're wanting you to share your knowledge, but I know that your faith, one, is not something that you hide, but it's also very much a part of you. Do you feel like you have to sacrifice, or have you ever been in a situation where you had to sacrifice a job opportunity with your faith?
if you only knew, if you only knew. It's actually, what a question, because it's something I've never talked about publicly, really. But I will not this girl is holding the line, and I will not sacrifice an ounce of integrity. And, you know, I've had such an interesting conversation with my friend Elizabeth, and a shout out to her, who is, she's like destined to be a future saint, about how we get these opportunities sometimes in life. And it's like, if you really start to discern the opportunity, and it's a huge opportunity, it has a lot of money, a lot of publicity with it, it's like the devil coming at you, right? Because you know deep down that it's not right. And I can't even tell, I mean, if I could share publicly the stories of the opportunities that I've had that I've passed on, this girl is holding the line and I won't budge. And my manager, sometimes he's amazing. He's like, oh gosh, like you're passing on another. I'm like, sure am. Like, it's just, I won't take any job or opportunity that is not right for, and a fit for me, online or offline, or a representation of something I don't feel strongly in. And I'm not budging. And I think that's a really challenging place to be. But I feel like the devil comes at you with the money. He comes at you with all the temptation, all the deceit. But I'll tell you what's amazing on the back end of saying all of this. God always delivers. And I feel like sometimes I have these temptations come your way, and I'm like, I know I'm going to say no, but he always like it's crazy. I just got chills. It'll be within 24 hours, and I'll get like another big booking, and it'll like over deliver, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because, and even if he did it, he is still good. You know, it's just amazing to me that when you do the right thing, and I'm having this conversation with my mom right now, it's like, sometimes being that I have really bad scruples. I've had, they've just progressed over the years. But in like, mom, I like always feel like I'm doing the right thing, and sometimes I get screwed. But you don't. And like going through this Lenten season, I've really had a lot of discernment about, like, you know, last week the homily was about Jesus walking through the desert and the temptations that he faced, and the recapitulation for our salvation, which is something I learned about that I didn't even know about in my faith journey. And it's like, we have these temptations, but God is always in charge, and you always come out okay. And I also look at myself, and I sometimes get too wrapped up in my own self. And I say, people have much more complications that they're dealing with, much more challenges. And you just start to, like, you always come back to your Christian foundation of doing what is right, what is good, and what is true. And you will never waver. And at the end of the day, like I was just having this conversation yesterday, I was like, I had a situation of a job I passed on because of your exact question. And I was really upset. And I said, you know what? At the end of the day, Jesus loves me so much. What more do I need? Like, what more does a girl need to know that there's so many things in life that are not a guarantee, but one guarantee is he loves me so much. What more do I need? And what more can I ask for? And I was like so angry. And I was like, I feel great thinking about this. I know it's like super cheesy, but it's just like my honest truth. When you realize at the end of the day, that is a warranted guarantee that you are like a child of God, and you are loved. And if you stand firm in your convictions and your truth, you will never go wrong. You truly will.
Well, I mean, we all have, I think, what we call negotiables and non-negotiables.
Yes.
And I think determining like what's your non-negotiable does help you make decisions. I mean, it probably helps take the sting out of some stuff that you've had to pass. But I think that, Katie, you're a good reminder that you don't have to sacrifice like these God-given talents and gifts that God's given you. Um, that you don't have to sacrifice those, that he's going to continue to bless you, maybe in a different way. But you, I think, do a really good job of modeling that. both in your personal life, but also in your professional life. I mean, not many people I know this about you, but I don't think many people know this about you, that you don't miss mass on Sundays. Like no matter where, and you're a big traveler. Like you don't just
Yeah.
sit at home on the East Coast and do nothing.
It's something I'm proud about. I don't miss the rosary. And for me too, I'm going on like roughly 2 years. I do a chaplet to St. Michael every day, my special intentions every day. Mass is a non-negotiable for me. Now in the last 2 years, First Fridays are non-negotiable for me. And it's just, if he can make time for you and create you, I got time for him. And one time, one of my favorite stories to share is like mass for me is like, I think I've missed 2 or 3 times in my life, just to keep it honest. The scruples kicking in. This one time
You're forgiven, Katie. You're forgiven.
Okay. Man, it's like you should be in my head all day. It's a crazy place to be. But this one time I was in the Faroe Islands, and it's a linked chain of small 17, 18 islands. It's between Iceland and Scotland. And I had to cross over 2 islands to get to mass that day. And there was a church right where I was staying. Like my Airbnb was right next to a church, but I was like, I'm a girl. I'm like a Catholic girl. I got to get to my Catholic mass. So the Faroe Islands it means sheep islands. I'm driving through what looks like Lord of the Rings. I'm like freaking gunning it, trying to get there. And the sheep are in the middle of the road on like this, this picturesque mountaintop. I'm like, and the sheep in the island have the right of way. So I'm like, at what point does this Northeast girl not use the horn? I'm like, y'all gotta move. You gotta move. So it's just the journeys that I've had getting to mass have been a blessing in themselves. It's just been fun. But no matter where you are, I feel like there's also this continuity of course, our faith, our Catholic faith, and being in the Faroe Islands, even though the mass was in Faroese, you're following along to, and you're being in that prayerful mindset where I'm on the other side of the globe. Like, it's amazing. And it's amazing that there was a sister there and the priest there. And I'm like, wow, what an experience. Like how to find that continuity and that common denominator, no matter where we're at in the world, whether it's Malaysia or Bermuda or the Faroes or the Philippines, there is that faith that draws us together. It's just so awesome.
Well, it makes you feel like you're at home. Like you may be far away from home, but that you walk in and you're like, exhale and you're like, okay, I'm here. So I hope that Austin treats you well when you get to town. But I'm curious, Katie, to know, do you have like a saint or saints that you find to be, I guess, encouraging in both your career, but also personally speaking? Because I know I'm always a fan of learning about saints or learning why people are so drawn to saints.
I'm obsessed with saints. I'm wearing my St. Michael the Archangel shirt right now. I actually had this design custom done because I felt like who am I to say that there needs to be a modern day rendition of St. Michael the Archangel? But I just feel like he's so bold and so full of vigor and conviction. I come from a proud military family. I'm like, I had my designer put up a new St. Michael graphic together that we were, all of the profits for these shirts that I had previously sold went to a veterans nonprofit. But I am obsessed with saints. Like, since I was little, I've been fascinated with saints. And if I could just name a few of my favorites, like obviously St. Michael the Archangel, St. Raphael, St. Gabriel, and then St. Clare is the patron saint of television. St. Cecilia is the patron saint of music. St. Agnes was my confirmation saint. St. Valentine, St. Patrick. A new one that I discovered was St. Zelie. It's always fun to pick up new saints that you didn't know. St. Zelie was an amazing lace maker. She actually wanted to live a single life committed to Christ. And he was like, no, I got other plans for you. She actually had 5 daughters, 2 of which became saints. One is a doctor in the church. Yes, St. Teresa. Yeah. So it's like, I love learning these saint stories and like asking for their intercession. A new saint, St. Carlo Acutis, is the saint of technology, who I pray to often for one of my little buddies who's not doing well. I volunteer in the pediatric cancer space, so I'm always praying to St. Carlos, who had went through, he died at 15. So learning about his experience and like his commitment to God through all his carrying of his cross has been amazing. So I'm like, I love the saints. I love the saints. Like, you should see, and sometimes I start to get in my prayer, like my devotional prayers of the day, and I'm like going through. I'm like, you need to stop. Like when I found out there was like 10,000, I was like, oh, this isn't good. This is actually, I'm the last person that should know there's 10,000. I thought there was like maybe like 150,
Oh no, there's a bunch.
10,000. So
There's a
that was a
bunch.
mind trip for me. But yeah, I guess if I had to really say I had an affinity to one particular saint, it would be Saint Michael the Archangel. And if anyone's not familiar with the very short prayer of Saint Michael the Archangel, I don't like to tell anybody to do anything. It's like a pet peeve of mine. I hate when people say you should. Like, don't start any sentence with you should, because like I'm an adult and I do my own things and I make my own choices. But I encourage you to look up the very short prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, defending us in this spiritual battle that, y'all, the devil is hard at work right now, as we know. Like, we got to get all the prayer going we can.
Well, I'm looking at the clock because I know I want to be sensitive to that. All right. So before we get off,
Yeah.
I want people to know. So you also have a music career, which
Oh
I'm a
gosh,
big country
thank
fan.
you.
No, you do. You
Yeah.
put out some great singles. I shared those on my Instagram stories today, so I'll send people to that. But before you have to jump on a plane and head somewhere, Katie, what's one way that people that are watching this live or who watch it later, what's one way that we can pray for you?
Oh, that is the most, if you even just have a line in your prayer life to pray for me and the temptations that I face on a regular basis. I never like to ask for anything for myself personally. My life goal, if I can overshare, which I'm a far way of getting there, and I got a lot of work to do, is to be the patron saint of gifting. Like, anyone else would have been like, gifting? I love gifts. I love giving people gifts. It's like my thing. I think I inherited it from my mom, who's way closer to sainthood than I am. She's amazing. But I never like to ask for anything, but if you do have it in you to give me a little prayer at any point, just with all the world of media can be a crazy world. It's a blessing, but it's also a challenge. And I'll close by saying, for the third time, I sound like a broken record. I'm here to hold the line.
Well, I'm grateful that we have your voice in that space, Katie, and not just your voice, but your example, because I think maybe there's some people in that space who feel like maybe they'd like to have some non-negotiables in their life, and I
Yeah.
think that they may look to
And
you.
I'd
Like,
be
I
happy to
pray that
chat
you can be a
with
good
anybody on
example.
that regard, because I've been through, in this media space for 20 years. There's nothing you can run past me that I haven't been exposed to, seen, or dealt with. And it's like the least I can do is to help people on this journey. Yeah.
You're good. Okay, go jump on a plane. Hopefully, I will see you when you get to Austin. And thank you so much for the gift of who you are, Katie.
And can I end by saying, I feel like this whole conversation was all about me. Catherine, you are a rock star in this space, and I am grateful for everything that you do and the voice that you have and the representation that you have been to our Catholic community. Like, thank you for what you do.
You're very sweet, Katie. It was about you because that's why I invited you, because you have such good things to say. So, and more importantly, about how Jesus is doing good things in your life. So,
Amazing.
thank you, Katie. Go get on a plane. Safe travels. May the guardian angels surround that plane, and I'll see you soon.
God bless. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Bye, y'all.